Okay, so I need to tell you something about what's happening in 2 days, and honestly, it might completely change how you think about this entire year, because January 6th isn't just another day on the calendar. There's this incredibly rare celestial event happening, a superior conjunction of Venus and the Sun in Capricorn, and I really believe this is the cosmic reset button we've all been waiting for. Like, the energy shift that's about to happen is so significant that astrologers are calling this the Venus blessing of 2026. And I don't use that term lightly. Here's the thing, if you've been feeling like you're standing at the edge of something massive but you can't quite see what it is yet, there's a reason for that. The universe has been preparing you for this exact moment. And I'm not just talking about romance or money, even though Venus rules both of those things. I'm talking about a complete rewrite of your life story. And if you've been waking up lately with this strange feeling that the old version of you doesn't fit anymore, stay with me on this one. There's a very specific reason that's happening, and I'm going to explain exactly what it means later in this video. But first, I need you to understand something. This isn't just any Venus conjunction. This is happening at a degree in Capricorn that has this wild symbolism attached to it that nobody's really talking about. And when I discovered what it was, it literally gave me chills, because it explains why so many of us have been feeling this urgent need to strip away everything that isn't authentic, everything that isn't real. Does that resonate? The Venus star point is completing a 4-year question. So here's what's really happening. Every 8 years, Venus creates this perfect 5-pointed star pattern in the sky. It's called the Venus star point, and each point of that star lands in a specific zodiac sign. The Capricorn point, that's the one we're hitting on January 6th. It only activates every 4 years, and here's where it gets interesting. The last time Venus hit this Capricorn point was January 2022, but that was different. That was an inferior conjunction when Venus was retrograde. Think back to January 2022 for a second. Remember what was happening? The world was still figuring itself out after everything that had happened. People were quitting their jobs left and right. They called it the Great Resignation. We were all questioning everything about how we'd been living. Has that been sitting with you since then? That 2022 conjunction was Venus asking us a question. It was forcing us to look at our careers, our structures, our relationships, and ask ourselves, is this actually working? Is this what I want? Is this sustainable? And for a lot of us, the answer was no, right? But here's the thing, that was the question. January 6th, 2026, this is the answer. This is Venus coming back, but this time she's not retrograde. She's direct, she's moving forward, she's at her maximum distance from Earth, completely illuminated by the sun. And I really believe she's bringing the solutions we've been searching for since 2022. I've been feeling this build-up myself. It's like everything we've been working through, all the internal processing and questioning, it's finally ready to become something real, something tangible. And that's exactly what a superior conjunction does. It takes the internal work and pushes it out into the external world. You're already feeling the shift from chasing to attracting. Something really significant is happening with this conjunction, and I think you might already be feeling it. Venus is literally changing her identity on January 6th. She's shifting from being the morning star to becoming the evening star. And this isn't just some poetic astronomical thing. This completely changes how Venusian energy works in our lives. For the past several months, Venus has been the morning star. She's been rising before the sun, fighting her way up into the sky. And honestly, that's how a lot of us have been feeling, right? Like we're constantly chasing success, chasing love, chasing validation. Always pushing, always striving, always trying to prove something. But on January 6th, that changes. Venus disappears into the sun. She goes through what ancient astrologers called her journey through the underworld. And when she comes back out in late February, she's the evening star. And the evening star doesn't chase anything. She attracts, she receives, she knows her worth and lets things come to her. I've already been noticing this shift in my own life. Things that I used to have to push so hard for are starting to just flow. And I don't think that's a coincidence. I think we're already in the energy field of this conjunction. The closer we get to January 6th, the more this shift from chasing to attracting intensifies. And here's what's really interesting. When Venus is conjunct the Sun like this, she's actually invisible. We can't see her in the sky at all. She's completely absorbed into the Sun's light. And I think that's telling us something important. This blessing, this rewrite, it's happening in the unseen realms first. It's happening at the level of energy and frequency before it shows up in our physical reality. The naked truth about Capricorn, 17 degrees. Okay, so this is the part that really blew my mind when I discovered it. The conjunction is happening at 16 degrees and 22 minutes of Capricorn, which rounds up to the 17th degree. And every degree of the zodiac has something called a Sabian symbol, basically a symbolic image that captures the energy of that specific point. The symbol for Capricorn 17? A repressed woman finds psychological release in nudism. I mean, can we just sit with that for a second? This is Capricorn we're talking about, the sign of structure, authority, corporations, tradition, the sign that's all about the suit and tie, the professional image, the public reputation, and the symbol is about getting naked. But here's what I think this is really about, and this was such an aha moment for me. It's not about literal nudity, it's about stripping away all the masks we wear, all the roles we play, all the ways we've been performing success instead of actually living it. Think about it. How much of your life right now is about maintaining an image? How much energy do you spend trying to look successful, trying to appear like you have it all together, trying to fit into some box of what you think you're supposed to be? I've been catching myself doing this constantly. And I really believe this Venus blessing is saying, enough, enough with the armor, enough with the masks, enough with the performance. The symbol is telling us that our psychological release, our freedom, comes from being willing to be seen as we actually are. The repressed woman in the symbol, that's the part of us that's been holding back our true desires because they don't fit the corporate mold. That's the part that's been afraid to want what we actually want because it might not look professional or appropriate. And on January 6th, I think we're being given cosmic permission to let that part of ourselves breathe. Why this matters more than any other Venus conjunction. Now you might be thinking, okay, but Venus conjuncts the Sun twice a year. What makes this one so special? And that's such a good question. Here's what's different about this one. First of all, this is a superior conjunction, not an inferior one. When Venus is inferior between Earth and the Sun, it's all about internal processing. It's emotional, subjective, often painful. We're dealing with our wounds, our past, our patterns. But a superior conjunction, that's when Venus is on the far side of the Sun, as far from Earth as she gets. And that distance gives us perspective. It gives us objectivity. It's not about processing anymore, it's about manifesting. But here's what really sets this one apart. This conjunction is happening just days after a massive full moon in Cancer on January 3rd. And not just any full moon, a supermoon. The emotional waters are going to be so high, and then 3 days later, Venus and the Sun come together in Capricorn to give us the structure to contain all that emotion. And then, this is huge. On January 26th, just 20 days after the Venus blessing, Neptune enters Aries for the first time since the 1860s. We're talking about a complete shift in the collective consciousness. Neptune leaving Pisces, where it's been since 2011, and entering the first sign of the zodiac. The last time this happened was during the American Civil War. It's that level of collective transformation. So this Venus blessing on January 6th, I really believe it's giving us the structure, the foundation, the solid ground we need before everything starts shifting into this new Aries energy. It's like the universe is saying, here, take this blessing, build something real with it because you're going to need something stable when the waves of change really start rolling in. The Mars-Jupiter opposition that changes everything. But wait. There's another layer to this that's absolutely crucial. On January 10th, just 4 days after the Venus blessing, Mars and Jupiter form an exact opposition. And this isn't just any opposition. Both planets are exalted. Mars is exalted in Capricorn, Jupiter is exalted in Cancer. They're both at their absolute best, they're most powerful, they're most effective, and they're facing off against each other. Mars in Capricorn is the ultimate achiever. This is ambition with a capital A. This is the drive to build empires, to leave legacies, to make your mark on the world. And with Venus right there next to Mars, she's infusing all that ambition with desire, with value, with beauty. But across the zodiac, Jupiter in Cancer is saying, okay, but what about home? What about family? What about emotional security? What about nurturing what really matters? I've been feeling this tension building already. It's like part of me wants to conquer the world, and another part just wants to create a cozy, safe space for the people I love. And I don't think we have to choose. I think the Venus blessing is showing us how to have both. This is what I mean when I say this is a rewrite. The old story was that you had to sacrifice one for the other. You either got the successful career or the happy home life. You either pursued your ambitions or you took care of your relationships. But the Venus blessing in Capricorn, mediating between Mars and Jupiter, is saying, what if you could build an empire that serves your family? What if your success could create more space for love, not less? Your body already knows what's coming. Here's something I've been noticing, and I'm really curious if you've been experiencing this too. My body has been giving me signals that something big is about to shift, and not in a bad way, more like my nervous system is preparing for an upgrade. I've been needing more sleep, not because I'm tired, but because it feels like my body is doing some kind of deep integration work while I'm unconscious. I wake up feeling like I've been somewhere, done something important, even though I can't quite remember what. And my preferences have been changing. Things I used to enjoy suddenly feel empty. People I used to spend time with don't resonate the same way. It's not that anything's wrong. It's more like my frequency is shifting, and certain things just don't match anymore. Has that been happening for you? I really think our bodies are already responding to this Venus blessing. They're already starting to align with this new frequency of attracting rather than chasing, of being rather than performing. Our physical systems know what's coming before our minds do. And here's what's interesting. In Capricorn, Venus is in her traditional sign of detriment. Technically, she's not supposed to be super comfortable there. But I think that's exactly the point. This blessing isn't about comfort. It's about building something real, something lasting, something with actual structural integrity, and sometimes that means being a little uncomfortable while the old structures dissolve and the new ones take shape. The specific gift based on where this lands in your life. Now, depending on your rising sign or even your sun sign, this Venus blessing is going to hit a specific area of your life with laser precision. And while I can't go through all 12 signs in detail here, I want you to think about this. Where in your life have you been feeling the most pressure to be someone you're not? Where have you been wearing the heaviest mask? Because that's exactly where this blessing wants to work its magic. If you've been feeling it in your career, feeling like you have to perform a certain role to be taken seriously, this blessing might completely revolutionize how you show up professionally. If it's been in your relationships, feeling like you have to hide parts of yourself to be loved, get ready for a massive shift in how you connect with others. For me, I've been feeling it most strongly in how I express myself creatively. There's been this voice in my head saying, I need to be more professional, more polished, more appropriate. And honestly, I'm exhausted by it. This Venus blessing feels like permission to just be myself. To create from an authentic place rather than trying to fit some mold of what I think successful creators are supposed to look like. What nobody tells you about Venus in the heart of the sun. There's this ancient concept called Kazimi. It comes from Arabic and it means in the heart of the sun. When a planet gets within 17 minutes of the exact conjunction with the sun, it's said to be in the throne room of the king. It's not burned up by the sun's rays. It's empowered, blessed, sitting on the lap of the source of all life. And that's exactly where Venus is on January 6th. She's Kazimi. She's in the heart of the heart. But here's what I find really fascinating about this, and nobody really talks about this part. When Venus is Kazemi, she's invisible to us, but she's fully visible to the sun. It's like she's having this private audience with the source of consciousness itself. Whatever happens in that throne room, whatever blessing is bestowed, it happens in secret first. I think that's why some of us are already feeling the shift, but can't quite put our finger on what's changing. The blessing is being downloaded into our energy field, but it hasn't fully materialized yet. It's like a seed that's been planted, but hasn't broken through the soil. We can feel it germinating, we can sense something stirring, but we can't see it yet. And that's exactly how it should be. Capricorn is an earth sign. It understands that the strongest structures have the deepest foundations. The parts you can't see, the roots, the foundation, the infrastructure, that's what makes everything else possible. The timeline of how this blessing unfolds. So let me break down how I think this is actually going to unfold, because the blessing doesn't just happen in one day, and then it's over. January 3rd, we have that full moon in Cancer. This is the emotional clearing. All the old feelings about family, security, home, mother wounds, they're going to come up to be released. And they need to be released to make space for what's coming. January 6th is the actual Venus blessing. This is when the seed is planted, when the download happens, when the frequency shift occurs. But remember, Venus is invisible. The blessing is happening in the unseen realms. Then January 9th, Mars conjuncts the Sun right where Venus was. This is like the universe hitting the activate button on whatever was seeded during the Venus blessing. Mars brings action, drive, implementation. This is when you might feel suddenly compelled to make moves, to take action on the insights you received. By late February, Venus emerges as the evening star. This is when the blessing starts becoming visible in your external reality. The seeds that were planted in January start sprouting. The opportunities start appearing. The right people start showing up. And here's the thing I really want you to understand. This blessing has staying power. Venus won't go retrograde again until October, and when she does, it'll be in Scorpio. That October retrograde is going to test the depth and authenticity of whatever you build with this January blessing. If you use the Capricorn Venus blessing to build something real, something true, something stripped of pretense, it'll survive the Scorpio test. But if you just use it to create another mask, another performance, Scorpio will see right through it. Why 2026 is different from every other year. Here's something that's really important to understand. 2026 isn't just another year. Numerologically, it's a universal year one. It's literally the beginning of a new 9-year cycle. And when you combine that with Neptune entering Aries for the first time since the 1860s, we're talking about a level of new beginning that we haven't seen in our lifetimes. The January 6th Venus blessing is like the universe handing us the blueprint for how to navigate this new era. It's showing us that the old way, the armor, the masks, the constant striving, that's not going to work in this new cycle. The new way requires authenticity. It requires being willing to be seen. It requires building from a place of actual value, not just perceived value. I've been thinking a lot about what this means practically, like how do we actually apply this, and I keep coming back to that Sabian symbol. The repressed woman finding psychological release in nudism. It's such a powerful image because it's about liberation through vulnerability. The structures we build now in early 2026 with this Venus blessing, they need to be structures that support our authentic selves, not structures that require us to perform. They need to be containers for who we really are, not prisons that keep us trapped in who we think we should be. What you need to do before January 6th. Okay, so we have 2 days before this massive blessing arrives, and I really feel like there are some specific things we can do to prepare ourselves to receive it fully. First, I think we need to get really honest about where we're still wearing masks. Where are you still performing? Where are you still trying to be someone you're not? Because the blessing can only work with what's real. It can't bless a performance. It can only bless the truth. Second, think about what you decided back in January 2022. What did you realize wasn't working? What did you know needed to change? Because this blessing is bringing the answer to those questions. But you need to be clear about what the questions were. And finally, and this might sound strange, but stay with me, I really think we need to get comfortable with being seen. Not your image, not your persona, but actually you. Because that's what this blessing is asking for. It's asking for the real you to step forward and receive what's being offered. I've been practicing this myself, just small things, sharing opinions I usually keep to myself, wearing what I actually want to wear instead of what I think I should wear, having conversations without planning what I'm going to say first. It's uncomfortable sometimes, but it's also incredibly freeing. The hidden warning in this blessing. Now, I need to be real with you about something. This blessing is powerful, but it comes with a warning, and the warning is this: whatever you build with this energy needs to be built on truth. Capricorn can be tempted to build for the sake of building, to create structures just because they look good, because they impress people, because they check all the right boxes. But remember that symbol. The psychological release comes from the nudism, from the stripping away, not from adding more layers. If you use this Venus blessing to build another false structure, another image, another performance, it might look successful for a while. Capricorn energy can definitely help you build something that looks impressive from the outside. But when Venus goes retrograde in Scorpio in October, Scorpio is going to dig deep. It's going to investigate. It's going to look for the truth beneath the surface. And if what you built isn't real, isn't authentic, isn't true, it's going to crumble. But here's the beautiful thing. If you use this blessing to build something genuine, something that reflects who you really are, something that serves your actual values rather than what you think you should value, it's going to be unshakable. It's going to have the kind of structural integrity that can weather any storm. This is your cosmic permission slip. You know what I really think this Venus blessing is? It's a cosmic permission slip. It's the universe saying, you know that life you've been afraid to want. That success that looks different from everyone else's. That relationship that doesn't fit the conventional mold. That career that makes no sense on paper but lights you up inside. You can have that. In fact, that's exactly what you're supposed to have. We've been conditioned to believe that success looks a certain way, that relationships follow a certain pattern, that careers progress along a certain trajectory. But this Venus blessing in Capricorn, with its message of psychological release through authenticity, it's rewriting all those rules. And I think that's why so many of us have been feeling restless lately. We can sense that the old rules don't apply anymore. We can feel that something new is possible. But we haven't quite had the permission, or maybe the courage, to step into it fully. January 6th changes that. It's like the universe is removing the ceiling we thought was there, the limitations we assumed were fixed, the boxes we thought we had to fit into. This is why you've been waiting, not for someone else to give you permission, not for the perfect circumstances, not for some external validation. You've been waiting for this cosmic moment when the energy itself supports your liberation, your authenticity, your real success. The rewrite isn't about becoming someone new, it's about finally being who you've always been, but were too afraid or too conditioned to express. It's about building a life that actually fits you, instead of trying to contort yourself to fit a life. Alright, if you're still here, thank you so much for staying with me through all of this. If this resonated with you and you want to see more content like this, I'd really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button. It genuinely helps more than you know. And please drop a comment below. I really want to hear what you've been experiencing. Have you been feeling this shift from chasing to attracting? Have you been sensing that something big is about to change? What masks are you ready to take off? Take care of yourself, especially over these next few days. Be gentle with yourself as these energies shift, and I'll see you in the next one.